Excellencies, distinguished guests, it's a pleasure to join you today on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the EU aid program for Turkish Cypriots. Anniversaries such as this are significant not only because they are moments for celebration, but also for reflection. They remind us to look back with honesty at the political realities that shaped them, the expectations that accompanied them, as well as the lessons that must guide us into the future. Over the past 20 years, the EU aid program has made an important contribution to Turkish Cypriots. Through support for infrastructure, education, and environmental protection, public health, cultural heritage, capacity building, civil society, and confidence building initiatives, the program has touched the daily lives of many people across the island. A considerable number of young people, local institutions, municipalities, businesses, researchers, civil society organizations have benefited from the opportunities created under this framework. It has also helped establish and maintain a connection between the Turkish Cypriots and the European Union. It should be also noted that it has not only benefited Turkish Cypriots, but Greek Cypriots as well, by financing by communal endeavors such as the work of the Committee on Missing Persons and the Technical Committee on Cultural Heritage. So we do recognize and appreciate the benefits of the EU aid program. However, if we are to reflect honestly on the past 20 years, we must also acknowledge a more difficult and painful reality. The EU aid program didn't arise in a vacuum. The origin of this program lies in a very particular political moment in the history of the island and of the European Union. In 2004, for the first time in the history of Cyprus negotiations, a comprehensive settlement plan, finalized under the auspices of the Good Offices mission of the UN Secretary General, was put to separate simultaneous referenda on both sides of the island. This watershed moment was coupled with another milestone, this time in the history of the EU enlargement process, when the EU experienced its largest expansion. On 24th April 2004, the Turkish Cypriots voted overwhelmingly in favor of the Annan Plan, with a view to bringing to an end the long overdue Cyprus problem. For them, the referendum represented not merely a vote on the UN settlement plan, but a profound political choice about their future. They did so with strong political will, with the hope and with the expectation that their choice for a solution and for a European future would not be in vain. However, owing to the Greek Cypriot resounding no to the plan, these significant milestones could not be transformed into a fair and lasting solution, as well as a peaceful and prosperous future in the island of Cyprus. 2 days after the referendum, the Council of the European Union expressed its determination to put an end to the isolation of the Turkish Cypriots and to facilitate the solution of the Cyprus problem, in particular by encouraging the economic development of Turkish Cypriots. Two instruments were subsequently prepared by the European Commission. One was the Financial Aid Regulation, the program whose anniversary we mark today, and the other one was the Direct Trade Regulation, which was indeed intended to facilitate direct trade between Turkish Cypriots and the EU. These two measures were complementary. One would provide financial and technical support, while the other would address, to a certain extent, the broader issue of economic isolation and unequal treatment of Turkish Cypriots. Yet, 20 years later, only one of them came into force. The Financial Aid Regulation was adopted in 2006. The Direct Trade Regulation, however, was blocked and never materialized. Although the two instruments were introduced together as a package, the Direct Trade Regulation was decoupled from the financial aid regulation, ostensibly so as not to delay the implementation of the latter due to the political blockage of the former. It was done so with the promise that the direct trade regulation would continue to be taken up and finalized in due course. Therefore, today is not only the day which marks the anniversary of the financial aid program, but it is also a day which reminds us of unkept promises and unfulfilled expectations. And we must recognize openly that this has profound economic as well as political consequences for the Turkish Cypriots. From the perspective of many Turkish Cypriots, this became a symbol of an imbalance that further widened after 2004. The side that had supported the solution remained isolated in all walks of life, while the side that rejected it unilaterally entered the European Union, as if it represented the entire island and the Turkish Cypriots as well. Over time, this generated a deep sense of frustration and disappointment for Turkish Cypriots. Many came to feel that the political will they have demonstrated in 2004 was not met with equal political courage as well as sincerity by the international community and in particular by the EU. This disappointment should not be underestimated or overlooked. Trust is essential in all types of relationships. When commitments are unfulfilled, when expectations remain unanswered, for decades, confidence inevitably erodes. Today, 20 years later, we continue to witness the consequences of the unresolved Cyprus problem in all walks of life on the island. We continue to see impediments that limit contact, economic cooperation, mobility, and mutual confidence. We continue to see asymmetries that shape how each side engages with the international community. Indeed, in its latest resolution on Cyprus, the UN Security Council once again underlined the Secretary General's finding that the socio-economic disparity between Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots has widened further, stressed that this risk leading to deeper estrangement on the island, potentially affecting the prospects for a settlement, and urged further efforts to address this through meaningful contacts. And perhaps, most importantly, we continue to see growing skepticism among younger generations regarding whether a mutually acceptable settlement remains achievable. At the same time, however, it is also important to emphasize that despite frustrations and disappointments, the Turkish Cypriot side continues to maintain its political will for a settlement and to engage constructively towards this end. Accordingly, we continue to participate actively in technical committees, civil society initiatives, confidence-building measures, and efforts aimed at preserving dialogue between the two sides as well as with the EU. Today, renewed efforts under the guidance of the UN Secretary General are once again being openly discussed regarding the way forward. In this context, this anniversary offers an opportunity not only to reflect on the past 20+ years, but also to reconsider how the international community in general and the European Union in particular can contribute more effectively to building trust between the two sides, paving the way for finally achieving a settlement in Cyprus. If the Turkish Cypriots are expected to have closer ties with the EU, we need a robust strategic thinking to reimagine the relations. We should not lose sight of the fact that building trust is a two-way street. Allow me to conclude with these final remarks. The Turkish Cypriot side remains committed to dialogue, cooperation, and to a just and fair solution of the Cyprus problem. This is the guiding principle in our efforts aimed at creating a positive climate, conducive to settlement, and subsequently agreeing on a new methodology that would enable us to walk the final mile in a time-framed, structured, and results-oriented manner. Thank you.